Well, hello friends. We are finally doing the second floor tour/reveal. If you remember last year, you were following all along and I did some update videos throughout the year. And if you were following my stories, you saw the progress. It took about 9 to 10 months to do my second floor remodel. This is a late 1800s farmhouse where my grandparents had lived, and the upstairs had a lot of issues. It had a lot of electrical issues, and that's where this started because it didn't have electric or plumbing or HVAC when the house was built. So my second floor remodel took place over a lot of months, and there was a lot of intricate details that I wanted to do to make sure it kept its farmhouse feeling and all those little wonderful details. And that takes time, that takes work, it takes craftsmanship, and that's what I'm gonna show you all about today, hopefully. So you just being able to see me from where the camera is placed is one of the big changes here. There used to be a wall from this half pony wall all the way over into a door. And I took that out for a couple reasons. I think my number one thing is a house has to work for the person that lives in it. I'm not really thinking resale value here. I live in the middle of nowhere. But also I'm thinking what is gonna work best for me. An office was essential. Opening the space up allowed for that. And the second issue that really was worked on during this remodel was storage space. So right now I'm in the hallway. This is always where the hallway was. The layout is all pretty much exactly the same. And the hallway feels a little bigger now because of that wall being out, but also because I added a second window. So there was always one smaller window here, and it never felt proportional to the house. The upstairs windows had been replaced at one point and they didn't feel proportional to me. So they got a little taller, but this one also doubled to let in all this north light. It's north facing, so it doesn't get direct light, but it sure gets a nice bright light coming through during the day. So for storage, I added as many built-ins as I could because this wasn't big space. I couldn't just make closets all over the place. I wasn't adding on square footage. So adding built-ins into certain spaces allowed for maximum storage. So specifically here, my key was to make sure I had multiple ways to display things I love, because you know I love collecting, but also store items and have them be hidden if I needed to. So on top here, I just have white oak because it matches the floors I put in up here. And it's a nice place that I can put some of my favorite things. And also I've delineated and have my garden books more on this side. And we'll talk about why I split those up here later when we talk about kind of book placement on my bookshelves. But this is just a nice space to be able to have a landing spot when you come upstairs. So if I need to set something here as I'm going to and from, I can. But also just kind of have seasonally things moved in, moved out, and just be able to enjoy it. Because I'm up in my office now a lot and I look right out here. Everything right now that I have in my second floor for art on the walls is stuff I've had. I like to use what I have. I like to reuse what I have. When I purchase something like these antique paintings, I don't worry about if there's something really good or not. It's just if I like them. So things that I've had, I really like, and I just made sure that I was gonna have a spot for them. I'm a slow move-in person. I want to feel the space and just transition and live with it. So the storage here you can see is that multiple, like I was saying, multiple use. So I did take out and not have doors put on the center section. That's because I wanted it to have still some space for me to have more open shelving for whether it's display, but also just books. Like I said, all my gardening books are here. I'm still someone that researches by book if I can on things I have. Like Michael Durr's book on trees and shrubs. It's a beast, but it really has so much information. And sometimes it's quicker for me to go here than just go search on the internet. But then on either side of this, I'm able to have closed storage for things like, you know, the cards my nieces and nephews send me, pictures that I am transitioning out or in, things like that. I can keep in these spaces and know that they're tucked away. I didn't really have any spaces like this on my second floor. There was not even a closet. There was one closet kind of in my bathroom at that time, but not a normal functioning closet. So it's really been nice to have this space to be able to put some of those things. Now you're also gonna notice the floor. I was not able to salvage the original floor as much as I would have liked. It was two floorings up here. There was an original kind of 5-inch subfloor, and then the one bedroom in the hallway had another floor put on top of it at one time, in probably the early 1900s because it was an oak. But all the flooring had been ripped up at different times to add electricity or to add plumbing. So there were holes, and it really wasn't usable when I had different people look at it. To match the downstairs, I just did a 5-inch white oak. It's not a brand name, it's just milled white oak, and it matches the downstairs, and I like it because it's what the original subfloor was. It was a 5-inch oak. So I like the idea that this can now be in here another 100 years, I hope well beyond me, and can just live now in this space like an original flooring would have. As a collector, and if you're someone that loves certain things too, you're always looking for ways to maybe use them and make it feel more like your home and look at the pieces you really love. And that's where I create moments. So setting books that I can have rising up, and then I can have a nice little tray with a candle. And I just got this vintage French match striker for Christmas for my mom. It would have been on a cafe table at one time. I think it's beautiful. I don't actually use the matches. Usually I use an electric starter, but it adds such a nice moment of something I love. And that's what creates a cohesive space. And obviously things like this could easily be swapped out if you want to. But having these moments and having places to do this, along with houseplants I've been bringing over for my plant room, it's just such a nice kind of area to do that with. So let's move on into a bedroom so we can talk about some of the items I added storage there. Both bedrooms are almost exact replicas of each other. This one's a few feet bigger. But the big thing in here was to make it feel cozy in a space that I really enjoyed waking up in. So these are south facing, the bedrooms are. They get a lot of light during the day. Even on a cloudy day, there are 3 windows in each bedroom and they let in a lot of light. So I was able to go a little bit more dramatic in here. And it's something I've always wanted to do, but every time I've painted rooms in the past, it never felt right. This was the first cohesive space where I feel like what was in my head was able to come out correctly. So that includes some beautiful oak moss on the walls, which is a Sherwin-Williams color, and I really like how it just kind of envelops you, but the sunlight coming in does not make it feel dark during the day. It gives it this beautiful kind of rich color, but then I offset it with wallpaper on the ceiling, which I know some people are gonna find is like a choice they wouldn't have done. I think that's fine. That's the whole point about living in your home. It's about finding the things that make you happy, and this sparked so much joy for me. It actually started with the wallpaper. I found this, and what I love about it is it has a blue undertone to almost mimic what sky, like the sky would be, the blue sky. Then it has this beautiful botanical of leaves on top for this foliage, so it feels like you're waking up in a canopy of trees. And since the bedrooms are on the second floor, I have a lot of trees around me that you feel that moment of the trees with leaves and then the ceiling, and it's gonna come together so well. I don't have a lot on the walls in here yet. You can see I went with a V groove or tongue and groove on the wall. There was a couple reasons for that. One is a design choice. I just liked it. I really enjoy it. I think it has such a beautiful, timeless look to it. You don't really need anything hung on top of it because it's so pretty. I also like it because it mimics certain things on my farm. So in an old barn shed I have kind of a V-groove like this inside that was originally always on the walls. And I like the idea that it could mimic some of that same time period a little bit. It also just worked really well and seamless with the trim. So all the trim I had replicated exactly to what was originally here. A lot of it wasn't salvageable just because of the way it either had to be removed or some of it had been removed in the past and never put back. So this is just like I did downstairs, the same door window trim and trim for baseboard. I want to keep that heart of the home. I want to keep what was originally here. If it needed to be updated, obviously it was. But then the next big part in here was the storage. Storage, key during this whole remodel. And built-ins were really the best way to go, because if I would have just had maybe closets built here, it would have had a lot of dead space below that wouldn't have really been captured and been able to be used. So here what I did was have what could have felt like would have been a built-in in the era, but it's the same style cabinet as my kitchen is downstairs, if you've seen that. It has drawers below, so I can have so much storage there. And here on this level, it has so much hanging items. You can put so much in here, which actually, even if I open one, you can see, not only can you fit a lot in each section, but then up above, there's even some shelf that if you want to put a bag or something. Below the hanging clothes, there's some room. So coming from like one closet on the second floor to not having tubs under everything and hidden everywhere to having some storage is really nice. Now to make these feel cohesive, I did add a window seat, more storage, but also it just makes this space make sense. Otherwise it would have felt really deep and kind of empty. This gives it a point. I probably will eventually find some type of cushion to have upholstered for there. I really like the idea of something there, we'll see. And if you saw my stories recently, you know I just hung these drapes because my mom and I finished them. So these were off the rack drapes because they're more cost effective and they weren't the right sizing. I wanted to hang them a few inches down from the ceiling, but I also wanted to have a pinch pleat. I just like the look of a pinch pleat. And these did not come like that. So we had to cut off a certain amount to make sure they would fit and then put drapery tape on so we could do a pinch pleat. I just really like the look. It's cohesive and it just fits perfectly. The color, it's a velvet, so it's rich. And it also goes really well with the coloring with the ceiling to the walls. Everything I can, by the way, I will link in the post on the website over this renovation. So light switches, plugins, carpets, whatever it is, I will make sure to try to link as much as I can. Now we're gonna go into the other bedroom, and this perfectly explains why I want them to be similar, because you see them together all the time. These doors are open, you're coming upstairs, I'm coming to the office, whatever it is. These two bedrooms really, by your eyes when you're walking, get viewed together, so it's best to have them be similar. As you can see, pretty much the same, little bit less space, but it's the perfect amount of space still and still being cozy. Built-ins, exactly the same. So it offers a lot of storage, a lot of space for like off-season blankets, things like that, or anyone that comes over. It also still is a holding place for things I have not finished yet. So I have some things sitting around that I know I'm gonna hang. Like this, I have a stand coming that I can I'm gonna hang it on the wall out in the hallway. But you know, things like that, I'm just having sit around still. That's how I moved into these spaces. I would set things on the bed or in a room and kind of live with them, looking at them on the bed somewhere to start feeling if that's what felt right in the room. I want it to feel eclectic, but everything just feels very comfortable and very livable. And I think that's the important thing. We did the same drapes in here. So Mom and I did 4 panels total. The windows were all in the same place. They got slightly bigger, just a little bit taller. But otherwise, the format and the placement, exactly the same. On this remodel, I bought 2 pieces of furniture. They're the bed in the other bedroom, that's one piece, and then a chair we'll talk about. But everything else, I really liked things I had and didn't want to get rid of them. So I like to make it eclectic. You know, I had an antique Swedish table I've been wanting to use and it fit perfectly as a night table. And then another side table, since they didn't match, antique pieces, you don't always have matching things, I used 2 trunks that I've had and stacked them. I even have a couple stack of books underneath to make the lamps so they fit and are formatted the same. You know, the art is something I got years ago and just love the colors in, and magically, in my head, it really works perfectly. Even though it's like pops of color, and I don't always go directly for a pop of color like this all over, there's something about it that brings on to me this quilting pattern, which my grandma quilts. And it works really well in this space. I even have moments of, one of you once sent me one of the sweetest gifts, I think it was Debbie, a beautiful silhouette of my French Bulldog Kip. I have a couple other paintings of Kip that a couple of you have sent me that I'm gonna put up probably in the other bedroom, but moments like this are to me the whole point, using things you love and making it something that you really enjoy. And again, we have more things that I'm trying to decide. This is a painting I had. It's a replica because this is an old painting, but I've been looking at it, thinking of a place to put it, but that's what I do. I will then just set it beside, and I want you to see that process because we all know I'm not a designer. I'm just someone who likes to live in my space at home and feel like it's feeding me and inspiring me. And that takes time. That's something I'm constantly evolving with. I have the same lights, which I didn't talk about in the other bedroom. These are recessed lights were a hard decision because I feel like they're kind of going out of style, but I like light at certain times. So what I did do, since I like ceiling fans in a bedroom, that's how I sleep. I sleep best with a fan. And I wasn't gonna have a center light there most likely because I don't like a light hanging off the fan. I put in very small 3-inch recessed lights. They are truly recessed where the light is up in it instead of a dome light. They have a very, very fine rim that you hardly see. And they really just make it kind of feel like an art gallery almost in the evening. You learn every time you do something you do different on the time before. That's true. That's very true. But let's go to the office. As we come out into the office, a big thing I wanted to make sure I had was shelving for my cookbook collection. So this isn't quite all the cookbooks, but this is most of them. And I keep kind of rearranging how I have them. Personally, right now I have them by maker, by person, just because I have quite a few of certain ones. But this was the office before too, but you couldn't really fit a lot in here because of a wall, which we'll talk about. But I use the same lighting cohesively everywhere. So they do have picture lights above. It's the same ones I used in the hallway. I actually have 2 in the bedrooms over each of those window above the nooks with the bench, just because it has a nice warm glow. So these are actually, if I have lights on in the evening at some times, it's just this. I don't usually turn on any overhead lighting. I like ambient lighting better. This is such a great place for me to do a lot of research when I'm doing recipe writing or want to kind of go more deep dive, you know, down to grandma's recipe box that I still have here, which is a lot of times one of the first places I start for inspiration. And it's a great place to house all those things that I want to be able to get to that I maybe couldn't get to near as easily before, and have them categorized in a way that really works for me. And you know what else it houses? It houses all the issues that I've kept to of my magazine. Not to do a self-plug, but this is fun because over time, I want to keep having more of these, and it'll be fun eventually, hopefully, to have a whole shelf. It's always important for me to make sure if I'm doing some type of built-in, having something custom made, that it feels old and right with the house. Now, this is more of a stylistic choice, but also has an older element to it. So I call these pull-out bookshelves. I don't know if that's really the term. But this took a little bit of back and forth with the cabinet maker to make sure they were right, because I really wanted these not only for looks, but it's actually a nice, usable thing for me. So when I'm coming over here to look for books, like if we, for instance, are picking one out by the one and only, let's say, Martha Stewart here, because she has a shelf, of course, or two. You can quickly set things down as you're looking through them and have a landing spot. And then if you even want to go a little further before you maybe move to the desk or whatever you're doing, you can go through, which I even have one marked in here, probably from quite a while ago, but lemon curd, because it is a good recipe. But you can do that work here, look through it, have them sitting there for a while, and then you can push it back. It's just a nice kind of extra spot to be able to house those things. Some of it, obviously, is for looks. I keep it a little bit more certain shelves. And I'm even adding in, just to break up all the books sometimes, like my collection of local flower pot pottery. I think this is Fort Dodge pottery, which is hard to find. But you can kind of add those elements in so you have pieces that break up the books and just look really good. As we go over to the desk, I did, like I said, get this chair. I just got it in December. I wanted somewhere cozy to obviously read if I wanted to for leisure more. Also, things like my redware collection that I've had, it's just such a great spot for. I probably will at some point add drapes to this. I know every time I say drapes, a lot of people are like, why? It's so beautiful without. It is. I just really like drapes, and I like a moment if I can have it. So over here is obviously the desk. What was wonderful about this was, this room before had no vents in it. There were only 2 registers up here for HVAC total, and it had like 1 plug-in. This room was never really used when my grandma lived here. It was more of a storeroom, so it always felt darker, colder, just not used a lot. And while I tried to use it as an office, it really wasn't the best for that. There were no windows on this wall at that time. So adding 2 windows and then the desk built in right in front, with the counter being cohesively the windowsill too, it opened up the space completely. It made it feel so much bigger, but also gave me something to look at outside, because I can finally now have a view of my backyard of where I spend so many hours during the summer working. I would never really have been able to look at that spot because the rest of my house kind of blocks, the windows don't go that direction. So this is actually giving me this beautiful view and such an inspiration while I work or while I dream. Like right now, I've been doing some garden plans for the upcoming season for some new flower bed areas. And I can sit here, think about it, look at it. It's such a great spot. You will notice too, all finishes up here are unlacquered brass, including light switches, switch plates, all those things, because I wanted everything to be cohesive with the old farmhouse. I grew up across the road in an old farmhouse, and everything aged and was unlacquered brass. And by the time, obviously, we have lived there, it's dark and beautiful patinaed. I want that to happen here too. Same with push button light switches. They're replicas of what would have been here, but I like that they cohesively fit in with what was here originally, but are obviously updated. You can even get dimmer ones with it, which is really nice. So I did just a very clean marble on top. It matches the bathroom, but it's very nice and recedes too. And yes, it can be cold. I know some people's thing about it for a desk. I may be hot-blooded. I don't mind it at all. I actually really enjoy it. I do have some wool pads down, obviously, for the desk spots. But other than that, the big thing up here was the carpet. So all of the rugs up here are cut from carpet and bound to fit perfectly, because I like it to be, I think the standard sometimes is 18 inches in, maybe from the wall for a rug. I like it a little bit less, so more like a foot or less. I like it to be a nice big open rug. And this one I had cut perfectly to fit inside the holes here of the desk, so your feet are always on a rug and the chairs aren't going to mark up the floor. That to me was super important. So the only difference up here is there's a different color, but they're the same pattern. So the bedrooms have a slight more of like a wheat color. Out here is more of a linen, but it's the same pattern. So they feel like they go together and they're just slightly different, including the runner that goes up the stairs. It just all matches and it feels really good. The big difference up here was removing this wall, which obviously for some people wouldn't work. For me, it worked perfectly, but what it did have to have was a pony wall because it needed a space for this built-in desk to end. You can't just have it be out in the open. And it needed a place for the banister here and railing to fall back onto. So I don't love a pony wall. I just don't like them. I have like remnants of like the 1970s and 80s. This kitchen originally had one, the bathroom downstairs, and I just don't love them. I finally just had the idea after seeing like pictures of old homes or old office spaces, even in kind of industrial ways, having interior windows. And that to me was such a nice way to finish this pony wall, make it look like it made sense, which really does delineate this like office desk space between the hallway, and it feels like a nice kind of like break. I used an antique wavy glass, an old glass, and so if you can't see it on camera, but up close you have a slight wave and movement to it. So it kind of mimics like it could have been here for quite a while, which I love. The railing is just white oak to match the flooring. I want it to be simple. I wanted slight modern notes to it, but also traditional. So you'll notice it's kind of like a candlestick taper on all of the balusters here, which look really nice. And then the railing is just very smooth and really is nice to hold in your hand. The ends and corners are slightly bigger. They just kind of fit together really well, and it's really sturdy, which obviously is nice because you're open on all three sides. I know a lot of you were worried last year when I would do tours up here and there was nothing here, thinking I was gonna fall. There is no worry about falling. This definitely creates a safe space, but also just really makes it feel cohesive. So you feel like your hallway and office are one up here, and that's what I really enjoy about it. So we're missing yet the bathroom. This is always where the bathroom was. The one difference is it does feel like there's a slight hallway to the bathroom, and that's because there kind of is. I like how it breaks it up from just being a door from the hallway into the bathroom, but also it's kind of for future proofing what I may want to do beyond someday if it's available. So I'm leaving this at the moment like a hallway. It could become something else later on, we'll see, but if not, it's just a nice place to have some more storage with an antique piece, or just have a moment too. But it goes right on into the bathroom with a pocket door. Now it's kind of tight, but we'll try to do a little bit of me in there and showing, but then also just some good footage of it. Everything in the bathroom fixture-wise stayed where it was. With it being an old house, the joists being tight, things not being able to move, things had to stay where they were. The bathroom, there was no bathroom up here originally, so when they put one in, it's best to keep it where it was. Toilet, same spot, vanity, same spot. The big difference was adding 2 vanities or a longer one with 2 sinks. I did do, again, unlacquered brass details in here for the poles, which match my kitchen poles, but also for the faucets and the shower. It all goes together. The big thing you'll probably notice is that it's tiled from floor to ceiling. It's cleaner for me to work with just to be able to clean it. It's a small enough space that it wasn't really a big difference. And I even had it go so I found a piece like tile that had molding pieces to match so I could go around the window and the doors. There wasn't a window here before either, by the way. I saw when we took it apart that there was originally, but at some point it had been covered up. So the tile is nice because you don't have to worry then about baseboard or anything. It seamlessly goes from tile into the small hexagon tile on the floor, which to me nods to an old looking tile. Even though it's a small bathroom, it's very mighty in the sense that I'm able to add storage I didn't have, more storage underneath, and there is a small closet even in here that I can put some like shoes in and things like that. There's of course a nice hook because I need to have a robe at all times. I'm a robe person. Are you a robe? I love robes. And then the shower, while it seems like it's really nice sized, it is. It's that same footprint that it was. It's just that it's a walk-in, so it has more space around it. So for me, the big thing with the shower was having a shower head. I'm 6'1", I'm not really that tall, but getting underneath a shower head wasn't always possible. This one I had put extra high so I could get under it and actually use it. Things like that to me were really exciting in this space. I am someone that has always felt you can maximize any space even if it's small. This is a small bathroom by today's standards. For me, it's perfect. I don't need a massive bathroom, I just need it to work well, and that's what this one does. Now, to add space, I do have medicine cabinets because they add storage space behind them. Lighting was key, so I have a lot of lighting so it's well lit. But my goodness, being in here in the morning, this is east, that sunlight that comes in, when there was no window here before, it is a dream, and I really enjoy it. So it's a cozy bathroom, it's comfortable, but I really like how calming it is. You know, I'm someone that likes to work in elements. Last year I went on vacation, Long Island in New York, and I was at a thrift store, and I found these 2 vintage lithograph prints that were already framed, stuffed them in my carry-on on the way home, and they ended up here. What is nice, by the way, about tile, if you have lightweight things, I don't want to drill in if I don't have to, or put a nail in my tile, command hooks work great on tile because it's smooth. I always had old plaster walls in my house and command hooks don't usually work. Smooth tile, it works perfectly. Since the shower was going to have so much glass on it and you see in it so well, I wanted to have a good spot to put the essentials, shampoo, all those things. And so a niche is a way to recess, obviously, and not really hide the things, but have a spot so they're not just sitting on the floor or on the ledge, and they fit really well. I did measure multiple times the items I used to make sure the height was kind of the correct one. I also wanted, since it was kind of a wide shower, I wanted to make sure that when you open the door, you don't have to go under where the water would come out to turn it on. So I have the water turn on the opposite wall, like with a thermostatic control, which to me was mind-blowing how wonderful that was. I can open the door, turn it on, not get hit by water, and have it be separate. And then same when I come out, I can step kind of out of the water, turn off, and then step out of the shower. You will notice, and it could surprise them, that the glass goes floor to ceiling. The vent is in the shower and it's integrated into the light. So it's an automatic vent that turns on when the humidity is high enough in that shower. So it does not steam up. It's actually wonderful. I don't have a vent out in this side of the bathroom because the glass encases it in there and it actually keeps the quiet, like it keeps it so quiet from hearing the vent, which I really love too. That wraps up the tour. And remember, things like this, they don't happen quickly, like sometimes they seem on TV, and they don't happen without really good people. So I had wonderful contractors I worked with. If you follow me locally, you know I love Ramsey Creek. They do wonderful work and they really make sure to talk with you about what you're wanting to know and what your needs are. So that's, to me, the important thing, to be on the same page with your contractor and feel like you trust each other. Also, Coleman Electric came through in a real quick pinch when my first electrician did not come through. He was on the spot all the time when needed and did really well. I always think it's important to say, none of this is sponsored. Not that I should have to say that, but I want you to know that I'm not sharing this because any of this was given to me or it was at a lower cost. It wasn't. I had to save, I had to plan, and this isn't like gifts that I had. This is just things I wanted to be able to share with you in my process. So I will link them all on my website on a post about this second floor so you can see all the items I used down to the Marvin windows, like the same ones I had downstairs. All these things should hopefully be on there, including paint colors, because I know you're gonna wanna know that too. And it will wrap it all together, hopefully. Thanks for following along. It feels good to be up here.